The sidewalk on West 47th Street was nearly empty at 11:30 p.m. when Muhammad Ali collapsed without warning. His body didn't just fall, it locked up, rigid and unyielding, as violent tremors racked his hands and legs. But the man who rushed to help him wasn't a fan or friend. Jimmy Morrison was a homeless Vietnam veteran who had been planning to tell Ali exactly what he thought about his coward's refusal to serve. Instead, Morrison found himself cradling the head of the most famous athlete in America, screaming for help as Ali's eyes rolled back and his breathing became labored. What happened in those terrifying minutes would change both men forever and begin a secret 20-year relationship that Ali never spoke about publicly, but never forgot. Hit subscribe for more incredible stories. October 15th, 1973. Muhammad Ali was in New York for a Tonight Show appearance that had gone better than expected. Johnny Carson had been respectful, the audience warm, and Ali felt genuinely optimistic about his comeback after 3.5 years in exile. Now 31 years old, he was hungry to reclaim the heavyweight championship from Joe Frazier. After a late dinner at Sardi's, he dismissed his entourage and walked alone through Manhattan, something he rarely did anymore. The city felt different now, quieter and more contemplative, as he processed his journey back to boxing after losing the prime years of his career to principle. Walking down West 47th Street, a gravelly voice called from a doorway. "Hey, I know who you are." Ali turned and saw a man emerging from the shadows. Early 30s but weathered, wearing worn clothes, unshaven, hair matted, but his eyes were sharp and filled with anger. "You're Muhammad Ali," the man said, stepping closer into the dim streetlight. The great champion who was too good to fight for his country when it called. Ali studied him carefully, noting the way the man held himself despite his obvious poverty. The military bearing was unmistakable, the straight spine, the way he positioned his feet, the alert awareness of his surroundings. This wasn't just another angry stranger. "That's right. I'm Muhammad Ali. What's your name, brother?" "Brother?" The man laughed bitterly. "I'm not your brother. Jimmy Morrison. Sergeant Jimmy Morrison. United States Army, 101st Airborne, 2 tours in Vietnam. Bronze Star, Purple Heart, and nothing to show for it." Ali nodded respectfully. "Thank you for your service, Sergeant Morrison." "Don't," Morrison snapped. "You served yourself, your bank account, your precious beliefs, but you didn't serve your country when it needed you." The street was quiet around them, just the distant hum of late-night traffic. Ali found himself in an unexpected confrontation with a man who clearly had nothing left to lose. "I understand your anger," Ali said carefully. "No, you don't," Morrison interrupted, stepping closer. "You sat in your mansion while kids like me went to the jungle and watched friends die. You made speeches about conscience while we were trying to figure out what we were fighting for." Ali could see the pain behind Morrison's anger. This was personal anguish from someone who had sacrificed everything. "You're right," Ali said quietly. "I don't know what you went through." Morrison seemed surprised by the admission. He'd expected defensiveness, justification, arrogance. "Damn right you don't know," Morrison continued, but his voice lost some edge. "I lost my best friend Tommy Martinez in Khe-Sanh. When I came back, people spit on me at airports. No job, no respect, no future." Ali felt deep sadness for this broken man standing before him. But then something else happened. Something terrifying and unexpected. A sharp pain shot through Ali's head like lightning. His vision blurred suddenly, and he felt his hands beginning to shake uncontrollably. The tremors started in his fingers, and quickly spread up his arms. His legs felt weak, strangely stiff. "I don't feel." Ali tried to speak, but the words came out slurred and confused. Morrison's anger immediately transformed into alarm. He recognized a medical emergency when he saw one. Hey, what's wrong?" Morrison moved quickly to Ali's side as the champion swayed dangerously. Ali tried to answer, but his body betrayed him completely. His knees buckled, and he collapsed onto the sidewalk, his muscles locking tight, shaking with violent tremors he couldn't control. His eyes rolled back, showing only the whites, and his breathing became rapid and shallow. "Jesus Christ," Morrison muttered, dropping to his knees beside Ali. "Stay with me, champ. Stay with me." Morrison's military medical training kicked in immediately. He checked Ali's pulse, which was racing and irregular. He tilted Ali's head back to keep his airway clear, and placed his jacket under Ali's head to protect it from the concrete. "Help!" Morrison shouted toward the street. "Somebody call an ambulance. Medical emergency." But West 47th Street was empty except for them. Morrison realized he was on his own. The violent shaking continued for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 30 seconds. Morrison held Ali's head steady, talking to him constantly. "Come on, Muhammad. Come back. Don't do this. Not here. Not like this." Gradually, the tremors subsided. Ali's breathing became regular. His eyes started focusing, but he looked confused, disoriented. What happened?" Ali whispered weakly. "You collapsed," Morrison said gently. "Some kind of attack. You were shaking bad. We need a hospital." Ali tried sitting up, but Morrison placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Easy, champ. Just breathe." They sat together in silence under the streetlight. The most famous athlete in America, and a homeless veteran, brought together by crisis. "Why did you help me?" Ali asked when he felt stronger. Morrison considered the question. "Because you needed help," he said simply. "And because that's what soldiers do. We don't leave anyone behind." Ali looked at Morrison with new understanding. "Even someone like me. Especially someone like you," Morrison said. "Half the guys in my unit thought you were right about Vietnam. We just didn't have the courage to say so." Morrison helped Ali sit against the wall. "We knew the war was wrong, but we went anyway. Not because we believed in the cause, but because we were afraid to say no. You had the courage to say no when everyone told you to say yes. You risked everything because you believed the war was wrong. That's not cowardice." "But I never served," Ali said. "Never put myself in danger." Morrison laughed, but not bitterly, almost admiringly. "Muhammad, you put yourself in more danger by refusing than most of us faced in Vietnam. We had guns, each other, government backing. You stood alone against the entire country with just your beliefs." Ali had never considered this perspective. For years he'd been called a coward, a traitor. The easy thing would have been going to Vietnam, serving your time, coming home a hero, Morrison continued. The hard thing was what you did, standing up to the government, losing your title, facing prison, having half the country hate you. That took more courage than anything I did. They sat in contemplative silence. Ali processed Morrison's words and his medical episode. He'd been experiencing small tremors for months, but nothing like this sudden rigidity. "Jimmy, what happened to you after Vietnam?" Morrison's expression darkened slightly. "Same thing that happened to a lot of us. Came back to a country that didn't want to deal with what we'd been through. I had nightmares. Couldn't hold a job. Couldn't relate to people who hadn't been there. Started drinking, then drinking too much, then drinking instead of eating. Lost my apartment, lost my car, lost my girl. Been on the streets 8 months now." "Your family?" "They tried helping for a while, but they didn't understand what was wrong with me, and I couldn't explain it. Eventually, I became too much trouble, and they gave up. I don't blame them. I gave up on myself first." Ali felt tears forming in his eyes. This man who'd just saved his life, who had shown him kindness despite years of resentment, was living in poverty and despair while carrying wounds that would never fully heal. "Jimmy, what you did tonight helping me, that's who you really are. Not the angry man I met 10 minutes ago. Not the broken veteran living on the streets. You're a man who saves lives when people need saving. That's your real service." Morrison looked skeptical. "One good deed doesn't erase 8 months of being useless." "Yes, it does," Ali said firmly. "It absolutely does, because it shows that underneath everything you've been through, all the pain and anger and disappointment, you're still the soldier who doesn't leave anyone behind. You're still the man who serves others even when no one is serving you." Ali struggled to his feet, Morrison steadying him as he rose. "I want you to do something for me," Ali said. "I want you to give me your full name and tell me if you have any family." "Why?" "Because I owe you my life, and I pay my debts." Morrison hesitated. "I don't want charity." "It's not charity. It's justice. You served with honor, and your country failed you. I can't fix that, but I can make sure it doesn't continue." After a long moment, Morrison spoke quietly. "James Robert Morrison, I have a sister in Ohio, Patricia Chen. 2 kids. Ali pulled out a notebook and wrote the information. "What are you going to do?" "Make sure your sister's children go to college," Ali said. "Make sure she never worries about money, and make sure you get help to get back on your feet." Morrison stared in disbelief. "You don't even know me." "I know enough. You're a good man who got dealt a bad hand. You served your country with honor and came home to nothing. You saved my life tonight, when you had every reason to let me die. That's all I need to know." Ali extended his hand. "Can we start over? My name is Muhammad Ali, and I'm grateful to meet you." Morrison shook it, tears flowing. "My name is Jimmy Morrison, and I think I was wrong about you." 3 days later, Patricia Chen received a life-changing phone call from Gene Kilroy, representing Muhammad Ali. He explained that her brother James had performed a service for Mr. Ali, and that Mr. Ali wanted to express his gratitude in a concrete way. Within a week, Patricia's mortgage was paid off completely. Her children's college educations were fully funded through a trust that would cover all expenses, and she began receiving monthly checks that ensured she would never have financial worries again. But Jimmy Morrison's story was just beginning. Ali's people found him a place in a rehabilitation program specifically designed for veterans. They made sure he received proper medical care for his post-traumatic stress and his addiction issues. And most importantly, Ali visited him regularly, not as a celebrity doing charity work, but as a friend checking on another friend. The relationship remained completely private. Ali never spoke about it publicly, never used it for promotion. It was personal, a bond forged in vulnerability and maintained through respect. Morrison got clean, got healthy, and eventually got a job working with other homeless veterans. He never returned to his pre-war life, but he found a new purpose helping others who had experienced what he had experienced. For 20 years, until Ali's Parkinson's disease made communication difficult, the two men stayed in touch. Morrison would send Ali updates on the veterans he was helping. Ali would send Morrison tickets to his fights and messages of encouragement for his work. Their friendship became a source of strength for both men through their different struggles. In 1993, Morrison was featured in a newspaper article about successful veterans outreach programs. When asked what had turned his life around, Morrison said simply, "Someone reminded me who I really was underneath all the pain, and they proved it by trusting me with their life." When Muhammad Ali died in 2016, Jimmy Morrison was one of the hundreds of people who attended his funeral in Louisville. He stood quietly in the back, not wanting attention, just wanting to pay his respects to the man who had changed his life. He approached Lonnie Ali afterward. "Mrs. Ali, my name is Jimmy Morrison. Your husband saved my life 43 years ago." Lonnie smiled with recognition. "Jimmy, Muhammad spoke about you often. He said you taught him something important about courage." "What was that?" "That there are many different ways to serve, and the bravest service is helping someone who can't help you back." Morrison nodded. "He taught me the same thing." When Morrison spoke to counselors about his remarkable recovery from homelessness and addiction, he would always tell the same story, about a night in 1973 when he met a man he thought he hated, when that man collapsed and needed help, when helping that man revealed something about his own character that he had forgotten was there. "Muhammad Ali didn't save my life with money or rehab," Morrison would say. "He saved my life by showing me I was still capable of saving someone else's. He reminded me that being a soldier isn't about following orders or carrying weapons. It's about protecting people who need protection, even when you don't like them, even when they haven't earned it, even when there's nothing in it for you." The medical episode that brought them together was never fully explained at the time. Ali would later be diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and doctors speculated that what Morrison witnessed, the sudden rigidity and tremors, was an early severe symptom of the neurological condition that would eventually end Ali's fighting career. But for Ali, the diagnosis was secondary to the lesson he learned that night. He learned that courage comes in many forms, that service takes many shapes, and that sometimes the people who challenge us most are the ones who teach us the most important truths about ourselves. He also learned that heroism isn't always obvious, isn't always celebrated, isn't always rewarded. Sometimes heroes are homeless veterans living in doorways, men who have been broken by their service and forgotten by their country, but who still retain the essential quality that makes them heroes, the willingness to help others, even when they themselves desperately need help. The story of Muhammad Ali and Jimmy Morrison is a reminder that our greatest moments often come not when we're at our strongest, but when we're at our most vulnerable. It's a story about how crisis can reveal character, how strangers can become brothers, and how a single act of unexpected kindness can change the trajectory of two lives forever. Hit subscribe for more incredible stories.